Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the Colts' new starting quarterback as they replaced Carson Wentz with Matt Ryan. The Colts only traded a third-round draft pick to acquire Matt Ryan from the Falcons. The Colts are expected to be an X factor in the AFC South as they could potentially make some noise in there and even possibly in the AFC. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So here it is. How will Matt Ryan perform this season? And my answer to that would be that I would be very excited to see how he'll perform because I think he's going to perform very well for the Indianapolis Colts. I know that some people are going to say, Sports Guy Talking, how come you think Matt Ryan's going to do so well in the Colts when his receiving core isn't that good? And his tight end core isn't even that impressive. Well, I'll tell you why, because Matt Ryan's going to have the best running game that he's ever going to have in his career. He's got Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in football. I call him a top 3 running back at the bare minimum in the game of football. Right now, Jonathan Taylor is so explosive as a runner. He can help out any quarterback for the most part. As long as the quarterback's actually a competent one, Jonathan Taylor, he has a knack for making plays happen. All right, and they also have an incredible backup running back in Nyheim Hines. That guy can catch passes out of the backfield. He can run and get the tough yards in there as well. They also acquired Philip Lindsay in free agency. That's an underrated move. And Tyson Williams, although he's not a starting caliber running back, he's going pretty good as a 4th-string running back. So, of course, they have a nice core of running backs that they can go ahead and use. Then you look at the receiving game. Yeah, there's not a lot of big names in there, but they have a lot of guys that can at least do a couple of things. Michael Pittman Jr., he's a guy that can make some plays happen. Paris Campbell, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be solid for them. And they got Kuti and Doolin. Now, I know some people are going to say, who are those 2 receivers? But those 2 receivers, they are slot guys that can make at least some plays happen. Matt Ryan's going to elevate them. This isn't Carson Wentz throwing the football. This is Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Not like a Carson Wentz who throws the ball over the place, but you don't know what to expect from him game to game. Matt Ryan's a real leader, too, not like Carson Wentz. When you look at Matt Ryan, he's a leader that you respect, and you respect his body of work and the amount of film they watch. Matt Ryan is one of the smarter NFL players around. I know some people are going to say, oh, Matt Ryan, he choked a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots. And although that's very true, you cannot deny that. Matt Ryan is still a very good NFL quarterback. I mean, look, Matt Ryan, if you want to talk about durability, he's been there for his team each and every week for the most part. Matt Ryan has only missed out of a possible, in his 14, 15 years in the NFL, he's only missed 3 games in the NFL? That's very impressive for what Matt Ryan has done. Matt Ryan has continuously been slept on year after year after year. Yeah, he might not have made the playoffs the last 4 years with the Atlanta Falcons, but the Atlanta Falcons were one of the worst constructed teams that I have seen over the last 4 years. They've been asking Matt Ryan to throw the ball over 600 times. That's not a way to win football games at the NFL level. Not even Patrick Mahomes should be throwing the ball 600 times year in and year out. The Falcons have given him no offensive line, no running game whatsoever. And quite frankly, Matt Ryan's never had a good defense to work with outside of 1 year where the Falcons finished top 10 in defense in 2017. But other than that, Matt Ryan has never had a top 10 defense at any given point in his career outside of that 1 year. But now the Indianapolis Colts, they're one of the better defenses in football. They got guys that can make plays happen. All right, and they also added Stephon Gilmore, a cornerback. That's going to help him out a lot. And Julian Blackmon, he's an underrated safety. He can make plays happen. Watch out for Kenny Moore as well. He makes plays in the secondary as well. I mean, look, the Colts, they got playmakers all over the defensive side of the ball. Special teams, they're pretty good as well. So Matt Ryan has a supporting cast in there. Yeah, his receiving core is not great, but Matt Ryan can boost up that receiving core, and he's also going to have an elite offensive line. I mean, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, I mean, if those are your interior offensive linemen, that's got to be pretty good. And Braden Smith, right tackle for the Indianapolis Colts, he's pretty good too. So Matt Ryan, he's going to have solid protection. He's going to have very good running backs to work with, and he's going to have a good defense that's going to bail him out a bit. All right, so Matt Ryan, he's not going to be asked too much to do. Look, what Matt Ryan needs to do is get the ball to his playmakers, get them in the right play, and honestly, that's good enough for the Indianapolis Colts to make the playoffs. I mean, look, last year, they went 9-8 with a quarterback that didn't play very well for them. I know somebody's going to say Carson Wentz had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and they're going to say, oh, Carson Wentz put up good numbers. But honestly, Carson Wentz, whenever they needed him to make a play when it mattered most, more often than not, he flopped. Look at that Jacksonville game in Week 18 where he was a no-show. All he needed to do was beat a 3-win Jacksonville team, and they would have made the playoffs. I basically said at the time that it would have been impossible for the Indianapolis Colts to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but Carson Wentz somehow, some way, found a way to lose that ball game. That's why they were at home last year instead in the playoffs. They wasted away a great running game. They wasted away a pretty good defense, all because they had a quarterback who was a choke artist. And although Matt Ryan is a choke artist to an extent, he's not as big of a choke artist as Carson Wentz is. So what do I see happening with Matt Ryan? I see him having a rebirth on the Indianapolis Colts. I'm very, very excited to see what he can do with it. Matt Ryan is going to make the playoffs with the Indianapolis Colts. They got a solid quarterback. They got a good running game. Receivers, they're not the greatest in the world, but Matt Ryan's worked with worse. Look at last year with the Atlanta Falcons, where his best receiver was basically a rookie tight end, albeit it was Kyle Pitts. He's also got a very good offensive line, and defensively, this is probably one of the best defenses, if not the best defense, that Matt Ryan has ever had to work with. I mean, when you look at Matt Ryan's play style, he's pretty similar to Phillip Rivers, all right? He's just a guy that knows how to get the ball to his playmakers. He's one of the smartest players in the game. He knows how to make the right reads, get the ball to his playmakers. And he wasn't necessarily supported by a great supporting cast, but Phillip Rivers, when he was on the Indianapolis Colts, he looked pretty good for them. So I think that if the Indianapolis Colts are hoping for similar production to what Phillip Rivers produced for the Indianapolis Colts, they're definitely going to get that from Matt Ryan. In fact, I'm going to go out there and make a bold prediction and say that Matt Ryan will perform better than Phillip Rivers did in the 2020 season. Okay, Matt Ryan is going to have a rebirth. He's going to be incredible for this Colts team. I'm going to predict the stat line right here. So I got him completing 67.5% of his passes. That's going to be pretty good. He's going to throw for over 4,400 yards. He's going to be one of the better passers in the game today. He's going to put guys in great positions to succeed. He's going to score 26 touchdowns through the air. He's going to throw 26 of them. I know that may seem like a lot, but the Colts, they are a run-first team, so they're not necessarily going to be throwing the ball a lot at the goal line. They're going to be giving a lot of touchdowns to Jonathan Taylor. But Matt Ryan's going to make that offense click. He's only going to throw 10 interceptions. I know that's more than what Carson Wentz throws, but when Matt Ryan throws his interceptions, they won't be costly like when Carson Wentz throws his picks. And Matt Ryan's only going to take 25 sacks. I know Matt Ryan's been sacked a lot in recent memory, but this Colts O-line is elite. Matt Ryan's got a quick release. And Frank Reich, head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, I like him. He's going to put him in position to succeed. Matt Ryan's also going to run for a touchdown as well, and I see him losing one fumble. So I see Matt Ryan having a very, very good year with the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts have one of the best rosters in the AFC. They just needed a legitimate quarterback. Now they have a legit quarterback. When you talk about Matt Ryan, worst case scenario, he's a top half quarterback in the league. Ideally, you would think that he's a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying that he is top 10, but I'm saying at his peak, he can play like a top 10 quarterback. Personally, I think Matt Ryan is the 13th best quarterback in the NFL. That means he's a pretty good quarterback. And if the Colts are getting that type of production from Matt Ryan, that means they're going to go ahead and make the playoffs. And not only that, I'm going to go ahead and say the Indianapolis Colts, well, hear me out. They're going to win the AFC South division. I got the Indianapolis Colts winning that division. They're going to go with the 11-6 record. They're going to be one of the best teams at home. The Colts, whenever they're going to be playing at home, they're going to be one of the most dangerous teams in all of football. I can't see how the Colts are going to get stopped as long as Jonathan Taylor has a great year and Matt Ryan's going to make the key throws that's needed to help his team win those games. I'm just really excited to see what Matt Ryan can do on this Colts team. And I even got the Indianapolis Colts. Hear me out. They're going to win a playoff game this year. They're going to win a playoff game this year, and they're going to get to the divisional round, and they'll probably going to end up losing to a team like the Bills or the Chiefs, something like that. But you know what? People are going to say that's pretty incredible for them, considering where most people have the Indianapolis Colts, which is sitting at home, not making the playoffs. I'm hearing all these people pick Tennessee to make the playoffs, but people don't realize how much Tennessee has regressed this offseason. They lost their top two receivers, and they have a quarterback who seems to have lost a lot of confidence in this game. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, he threw 3 interceptions in a playoff game at home, and he loses his top 2 receivers. I can't see how he's going to bounce back from that. They also drafted a third-round quarterback that's ready to take over the reins the moment Tannehill sucks for them. So that's what I see happening. I'm just excited that Matt Ryan's going to be the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm excited about the impact that Frank Reich is going to be making on Matt Ryan. Frank Reich is one of the best offensive minds in all of football. He's going to put his quarterbacks in position to succeed. I also want to give a shout out to the Reich family. I work for his brother, Joe Reich, Wingate head coach. So I just wanted to give a nice shout out right there to him. Joe Reich, he's a great man. if his brother's anything like him, I know that Frank Reich is a great man as well, and he's going to make Matt Ryan have one of the best seasons of his career, probably since his MVP year. And I think people are going to say, where was this Matt Ryan for years? And people are going to say, oh, Matt Ryan, he never had a team around him in Atlanta. Now look at him in Indianapolis. He's going to be so much better on the Colts than he was in the Falcons because the Colts have a much better supporting cast. He's going to make high impact for the Colts. I'm just really excited to see what the Colts can do with Matt Ryan at the quarterback position. I got him going 11-6 as a starter and being durable. He's not going to miss any time due to injury, and he's even going to win a playoff game as well. I just think that they're going to lose in the AFC divisional round to a team like the Buffalo Bills, where they're just flat out better than the Colts. But I think the Colts are going to be one of the surprise teams this upcoming year. I'm just really excited to see what the Colts can do. So that is why Matt Ryan will perform very well this season, as he will experience a rebirth with Frank Reich as his head coach. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran and Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.